Welcome to the Inclusive Plus Career Circles Methodology webinar. Over the course of this webinar, we will be discussing the Circles methodology created by Nova Consultancy and how it can be implemented into your work to help clients and other beneficiaries. By the end of this webinar, you will know how to implement the Circles methodology for a group of clients in order to help them reflect on their skills and how they can set achievable goals for future development. This webinar is brought to you by the Inclusive Plus project funded by the European Union and Erasmus+. Starting in 2018, 5 partners from Italy, Romania, Slovakia, Spain and the UK have come together for a 2-year project to help career advisors and adults looking for skills development. The aims of the project are: number 1, to help increase the labour market integration of adults who need support with skills development. Number 2, to create tools that will help intermediary professionals identify their client skills and competencies. This was developed during the early stages of the project, resulting in the creation of competence assessment cards for adults and career advisors. This can be accessed through the Inclusive Plus website. And number 3, finally, to introduce the Career Circles methodology, which this webinar aims to achieve. The Career Circles methodology was developed by Nova Consultancy, a company based in the United Kingdom, in 2001. This methodology has been used to help a variety of different groups, including artists, female entrepreneurs, those looking for employment, and those who wish to develop their self-confidence and self-belief. This methodology has been used in a number of different projects and is now delivered in more than a dozen European countries. For more information on the different types of circles from Nova, head to the website shown on the screen. So, what is a circle? A circle is made up of 5 to 8 participants led by an experienced facilitator. This group will meet for 2 to 4 sessions, each lasting approximately 3 to 4 hours. The methodology is built around the concept of coaching through positive psychology and using self-reflection exercises to focus on the positives of a situation. Experience sharing is an invaluable part of these sessions and works very well as the group is made up of a small number of individuals, often with a similar challenge or a main aim. Over the course of these circle sessions, participants will gain an increased sense of self-awareness and self-efficacy, both key aspects to building a positive mindset to reach future goals. Another overarching theme of the Circles methodology is to help participants set action points and achievable goals for their future, both short-term and long-term. During this webinar, we will explore the different aspects of the circles and how you can implement these to help your clients. This image, showing a fishbowl full of fish and one fish jumping out into an empty fishbowl, is very significant when talking about the methodology of the circles. The aim of this methodology is to build self-confidence and self-efficacy to take a step out of your comfort zone and move away from what everyone else does in order to become an independent thinker and step towards a future goal. Self-efficacy is the belief you have in your ability to complete tasks and reach goals. Bandura, a Canadian psychologist, wrote that self-efficacy affects every area of human endeavour. By determining the beliefs a person holds regarding his or her power to affect situations, it strongly influences both the power a person actually has to face challenges competently and the choices a person is likely to make. These effects are particularly apparent and compelling with regard to behaviours affecting health. By developing a sense of self-belief and self-worth, a person becomes more willing and able to make the changes and strive for their goals. This is an invaluable aspect of the Circles methodology, acting as the building block for goal setting and skills development. During the Circle sessions, 4 key interventions will take place to aid learners in their development of skills. Firstly, the Circles methodology helps learners to reflect on their past accomplishments. This is done through self-assessments and a variety of exploration activities. By evaluating past successes, people develop their self-confidence as they know they have achieved things in the past and are capable of doing so again. Secondly, the methodology calls for peer-to-peer support, which is essential for vicarious learning. By observing others and the facilitator, participants can learn from others and take on board favourable characteristics and mindsets. Thirdly, by increasing their awareness of negative talk, participants will become more tuned to how self-talk can impact their emotional state and resulting in choices and goal setting. And lastly, positive affirmation is always encouraged during a circle as it will help to develop a learner's self-confidence and a belief that they are making positive steps in the right direction. While constructive criticism is beneficial in many situations, the circles focus on positive encouragement and peer support. The structure of a circle session is mapped out by these 5 stages. Firstly, the facilitator should ask all participants to check in by introducing themselves and how they are feeling. This can be done either personally, about the session to come, or the previous session. They then describe their current challenge or issue they would like to discuss during their allocated time, usually around 20 minutes per participant. During this time, participants will use the questioning technique explained later on in this webinar to encourage the participant to explore their challenges further. Once this exploration has taken place, the participant will set relevant goals and steps in order to overcome a challenge or make steps to further their development. At the end of the session, all participants will summarize what they have learned and what their steps will be before the next session. More information about each session of the Career Circles can be found in the Inclusive Plus Facilitator Guide, to be available via the Inclusive Plus website. In terms of the full process of the circles, the structure is similar to that of one session. However, over the course of 2 to 4 sessions, participants will gain a new insight and understanding into their goals and choices, be able to test out their new ideas and steps for development, reflect on the steps taken, and set further future goals depending on the outcomes of these tests. A significant part of the circles methodology is the use of the questioning technique. This technique is used to encourage self-exploration and development of initial thoughts and ideas. During a circle, advice giving is not encouraged. People tend to rely on others to give advice because, if something doesn't work out, they can pass the blame onto the advice giver rather than taking responsibility for actions and choices. Nancy Klein, author of Time to Think, said that, "In the presence of a question, the mind thinks again." This is very evocative of the circles methodology, as questioning is encouraged rather than advice giving. Advice giving does not provoke thought, just instruction. Questioning creates more thinking and development of ideas, which is more beneficial to participants in the long and short term. So let's have a go at the questioning technique. Imagine that a client of yours came to a session and said that they went for an interview and it went terribly. They feel that they will never get a job. As a facilitator, it is your job to encourage the participant to ask questions rather than give advice. For example, you would not ask these participants whether they have tried something, as this would be giving them advice on what to try. So, how could you rephrase the "have you tried" statement into a question which would encourage them to rethink their situation and find a possible solution on their own? Pause the webinar now and have a go at rephrasing the advice-giving statements into questions to help your client think about their situation. Unpause the webinar when you are ready to hear the answers. Let's take a look at some possible answers. Instead of saying, "Have you tried?" ask the participant, "What have you tried to help improve your interviewing skills?" This question will cause the client to think about their interviewing skills, which may cause them to realize if they have done something in the interview which is wrong, or simply that they have not developed a particular interviewing skill to help secure a job. The second one. Instead of stating that you should, ask the participant, "How could you improve during an interview?" This will give the participant time to think about their time during the interview and identify if there are any aspects which could be improved. Lastly, as a facilitator or participant, you should not say, "When I was preparing for an interview, although experience sharing could be beneficial in some settings, the circles methodology encourages the participant to think for themselves rather than following the footsteps of others. Instead, try asking, "What methods do you use to prepare for an interview?" Again, this question will encourage your client to think about what they do. For example, if they do not prepare for an interview at all, this will highlight a possible issue which can then be worked on in the future. With practice, the questioning technique will become easier, and when teaching your other participants, they will soon be able to ask questions too. This will help others explore their challenges or issues without giving advice. More information on the questioning technique will be available on the Inclusive Plus Facilitator Guide, available on the project website. Details for how to find this website are at the end of this webinar. As well as the questioning technique, goal setting is a very important part of each circle session. This methodology focuses on getting participants to set goals and steps for future successes. Setting goals may seem easy, but the majority of goals that are set are too large to be achievable. When big goals are set and not achieved, the result causes a decrease in self-confidence and self-efficacy, demotivating clients to keep striving for their goals. Therefore, using the SMART goal technique helps participants to set smaller, achievable goals that will encourage self-efficacy and self-confidence to flourish and motivate participants to continue to strive for their goals. SMART goals. A SMART goal should be specific. Having a very general goal will not be achievable and will cause a decrease in self-efficacy. A SMART goal should be measurable. By adding a value to a goal, it will become more achievable. For example, if a client wishes to increase their typing ability, they could set a goal to be able to type 60 words a minute. This is a measured goal. A SMART goal should also be attainable. If a goal is too big, it will never be achieved. An attainable goal should be a realistic one, something that can be achieved within the given frame of time. A SMART goal should be relevant. If your clients are focusing on skills development, their goal should be focused on this type of development. Setting a goal which is irrelevant to their particular needs will not be beneficial to them. And finally, a SMART goal should be time-based. By adding a time restriction to a goal, participants will feel more motivated to achieve the goal. A great aspect of circles is the accountability participants feel towards the rest of the group, which further helps to motivate them to complete their action points in between each session. So, what is the main objective when delivering the circles methodology to your clients? Through the combined use of the questioning technique, peer-to-peer support and SMART goal setting, your clients will be able to think about their current situation by talking through the situation with others, using the questioning technique and setting action points using SMART goals. Reflect on their action points and goals during the next session and the progress they have made in between sessions, and act upon these reflections and goals in order to develop. A detailed overview of the career circles and how to implement them can be found in the Inclusive Plus Facilitator Guide. This guide includes a detailed explanation of the processes and methodology, session plans for each session, relevant documentation for assessment such as soft skills assessment, and suggested tools to use during each of the sessions. This guide will be available on the Inclusive Plus project website shown on screen. For more information on this methodology or anything else to do with the Inclusive Plus project, please email the partnership at inclusiveplus.googlegroups.com. For more information on the project and its outcomes, please visit the website at www.inclusiveplus-project.eu. To keep updated with project news and relevant resources, like the Inclusive Plus Facebook page. We hope you enjoyed this webinar and will be able to benefit from this methodology. Thanks a lot for watching.